good people? My name's Father Brad. Welcome to Coffee Talk, where we drink coffee, talk about Jesus. At least I drink coffee. I don't know. You might be watching it at night. Decaf. Today we're talking about drinking. That is alcohol, not coffee. I don't have any whiskey in this coffee cup. To drink or not to drink? What's the morality of drinking? It's an age-old question, right? We've had fermented drinks for a long time as humans, and throughout Israel's history, throughout Christian history. So what's the morality? How do we approach this as Christians? Number one, follow the law. Okay? If you're under 21 in the United States, you cannot buy alcohol and drink it in public. And if you're in other countries, hey, follow their laws. Number two, drunkenness is bad. Okay, that's drunkenness. Now, what is drunkenness? It's drinking alcohol to the point where you get rid of or you hand over your appropriate use of reason and will. See, reason and will are the things God gave us that make us like Him. Like we can choose to love each other with our will. We can choose to do the good with our will. And with reason, that's another way we're like God, we can know what's good, know what's beautiful, know what's true. And when we get drunk, we hand that over. We lose the faculty of our reason and our will. And that's why drunkenness is evil. Oh, that's my Bible. So we're going to open up to Ephesians 5:18. And do not get drunk with wine, for that is debauchery, but be filled with the Spirit. I chose it. It's just one verse. There's other places Paul talks about drunkenness, but it's just simple. He says, don't get drunk. And he says wine, but in general with anything, because it's debauchery, but instead be filled with the Spirit. Don't miss the wordplay there. If you remember in the Acts of the Apostles, after the Spirit came down, the tongues of fire came down on the apostles, they left the upper room and they started preaching, and they were preaching with such fervor and with such passion, and they were like crazy men evangelizing, that people actually thought they were drunk. They were like, it's only in the morning and these guys are drunk. And so Paul's almost referencing that. Like if you're going to be drunk in the Spirit. Right? A sober intoxication of the Spirit. But there's other places in Scripture that support drinking. Okay, so 1 Timothy 5, verse 23. No longer drink only water, but use a little wine for the sake of your stomach and for your frequent ailments. So, and here we see that wine and alcohol can be used appropriately, not to get drunk, but particularly as medicinal, as it's seen here. We also shouldn't forget that in the Gospels, the Lord Himself drank wine. He used it at the Last Supper. It's used in the Mass. At the wedding feast at Cana in John chapter 2. Weddings back then were huge events. It wasn't just one day. It wasn't just one afternoon. It wasn't just 3 hours in which we get a reception hall. These were 7-day long parties. There was a lot of food, a lot of festivity, and there was a lot of wine, as we can hear in the Gospel. And they ran out because it's a long time to have a party. And Jesus took 6 stone jars full of water and He made wine. This isn't Jesus saying that it's okay to get drunk. It's Jesus saying that this thing that is wine or beer or other types of alcohol, if used appropriately and with moderation, it can actually liven a party. It can bring people together. It can help us celebrate things that are beautiful. And I want to quote this. So Jesus changes the water from water to wine, 6 stone jars. The only one who knows there was water in there was a head waiter. And he tastes the wine, and this is what the head waiter says. Every man serves good wine first, and when men have drunk freely, then the poor wine. But you have kept the good wine until now. When I read this, it makes me think, well, one, that Jesus liked good wine. But there's this idea of appreciation, that there's inferior wine and there's good wine. And that makes me think of C.S. Lewis's 4 Loves. And C.S. Lewis's 4 Loves, he talks about 2 different types of love. He says there's a need love and there's a love of appreciation. Now, need love is the way we love things that we need, right? Like think of water. An example is you love water when? When you're thirsty. So you go cut the grass in 90-degree weather and you are parched, you are thirsty, you come in and you're like, I need some water. That glass of water, after cutting the grass or after running 6 miles in the sun in 90-degree heat in Louisiana, that glass of water is the best thing in the world. You're like, this is the tastiest thing I've ever tasted. But as soon as you satiate yourself, as soon as you drink that water and are no longer thirsty, it's nothing. Now, love of appreciation is different. It's love of something that we don't need. It's we learn to appreciate it in and of itself. And when we do that with the things around us, particularly, let's say we're talking about alcohol now, we are less likely to abuse it. You saved the best wine till now. We're less likely to abuse it. Addiction is a need love. In fact, it's a thing that's not love at all. We end up, instead of appreciating alcohol, we need it. And therefore, we lose appreciation of it, and it hurts us and can hurt us. So a disclaimer, okay? So alcohol isn't intrinsically bad, and it can be good. Drunkenness is bad. Now, if one person is prone to alcoholism or struggles with alcoholism, like they have this need relationship with it, then obviously you're called in prudence and in moderation to not consume alcohol. It would affect your ability to be holy, to be in communion with the Lord, with the church, with the sacraments, with other people around you. So just don't do it. Get help, surround people that can help you, can support you in choosing the good for yourself, for your family, and your loved ones. On the other hand, we should not demonize something that is intrinsically good and that can be used for bad. So instead, we should have an appropriate approach towards alcohol in moderation, using it well, thanking God for it. I'm going to end with a quote, a poem by a poet named Hilaire Belloc. It's a Catholic poet, and he loved parties, he loved festivities, he loved friends, he loved hanging out, and he saw wine, as a reference to the Mass as well, as a thing that could bring people together. He has this poem called The Catholic Sun. He said, "Wherever the Catholic sun doth shine, flows laughter and good red wine. At least I've always found it so. Benedicamus Domino."